Hey everyone, Eric from Eric G Woodworks. I have quite a few hobbies to include sim racing, woodworking, and remote control racing. And we're not going to do something woodworking today, but we're going to use a couple of woodworking products. And what I want to show you is something that we're going to do to this racing wheel from Moza. So a lot of the wheels, a lot of the parts from the sim racing series and products and these types of things have carbon fiber on them. Carbon fiber, if you are not aware, is basically a layered laminated piece of fiber over and over and over again that is incredibly rigid and incredibly solid. It's also very, very lightweight. So what we're going to do is actually modify this a little bit. It's a technique actually taken from the remote control community in order to make sure that things are stable over time, especially with wear and tear and everything. So if this will focus, and if you've got a piece of carbon fiber in front of you, you can really see these layers. And as you're scraping on the sides, and as you're working it, and as you're playing with it, basically, as you're racing over time and putting forces on it and everything, you can actually cause what is basically referred to as delamination, where these layers can actually start to break apart. And most manufacturers in the sim areas that I've seen don't really protect this edge. Now, is it a huge issue? No. However, with just $1 or $2 and a couple of minutes worth of work, you can really protect carbon fiber pieces just like we do in the RC community in a lot better way than the sim companies actually are. So there's all kinds of different types of glue. This is called CA glue, Gorilla glue, super glue. You hear it underneath a whole bunch of different names. It will come in everything from very, very thin. This is from a hobby shop, but they also have a lot of this type of stuff at Lowe's or Home Depot or anywhere else as well. Starbond is a brand that we use in the maker community and in the woodworking community for doing a lot of woodworking. Gorilla glue, a lot of people know that name. This is a super, super thick one. So if you can see that actually inside of there, this stuff is really thick. It's almost the consistency of rubber cement. This is not what we want. We actually want something that is very, very thin. So CA glue, cyanoacrylate, is basically a super, super aggressive adhesive. It dries very, very quickly. If you end up going to a doctor and there's a wound that is actually small enough or easy enough that they don't want to stitch it, they may just actually glue you together. And cyanoacrylate, a medical version, of course, much more expensive, is basically what they use. So this is what we're going to use today. So take your carbon fiber pieces off, and again, if it can glue a wound at a doctor, you can glue your fingers together. So use some caution here, use your head, be safe. So what we're gonna do is really grip the piece of carbon in the middle so that I'm not touching any of the edges. And get yourself a few Q-tips, doesn't really matter, preferably cotton if you've actually got them. And we're just going to take this and we're really gonna seal these edges. It just takes a minute or so. So take, and again, be very cautious where you do this. Do it in a spot where you're not going to make a big mess. So you're just going to put a drop or two onto the edge of this. You don't want to go crazy. Get a little bit of that extra off on your paper. And you're just going to run this along the edge, very simply. Keep it on just the edge. Spin it around. Don't touch it, because again, it's going to solidify and harden incredibly quick. But go around the edges. Wipe the edges down, get into all the cracks. If the Q-tip starts to get hard, you can actually put a little extra on it. If it turns rock hard, you just flip it around and use a different edge. But as you do this, you'll see we've got a nice bead around all of it. It did not get all over the actual carbon itself, it's just on the edge. And what this is doing is creating a super, super hard layer on the outside that will cause this to not delaminate and come apart over time as you actually use it. Again, it's not like something that is a major flaw in these sim manufacturer companies. It's just one of those things where if you don't have to replace one of these parts, why bother actually trying to fix it and having to buy a new one and trying to source one if you can just make sure that you make it a little better from the very beginning. So that's a little tip from my side. Any woodworking related stuff and everything else, follow me at Eric G Woodworks on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the normal fun stuff. So thanks, bye.